folks. This is Blake's Buzz, and this is our first YouTube entity. We are going to do an interview, and I've got with me two wonderful gentlemen. We've got Cuffe and Bob Frantz. If those names don't sound familiar, you should change that because they have written a most epic comic by the name of Metal Shark Bro, and they've got a new Kickstarter out, which we are here to talk about, and we're going to fill you in with those details and just have a good time and have some laughs. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves, please.
I'm Kevin Cuffe.
I am Bob Frantz. Hello. Thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. It was this is good. What we've back in the day, I interviewed these gentlemen with some other people. So this is a good, I've already talked to these guys a few times and it's slightly less stressful. Still a little stressful though. Like everything's new to me. But now it's just me.
Listen, Blake, Kevin and I are seasoned podcasting professionals. We will walk you through this as best as we can. And if worse comes to worse, Kevin and I can just interview each other and you can hang out, man. Like, well, we got this all taken care of. Don't worry about it.
I'll just grab a book and
yeah,
just
like we're all good here, dude.
Champions of comics for no reason. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason.
We have our own podcast that we do called The Word Bros, so we know what we're doing, man. Don't worry about it. We're good. I promise.
You guys do. Speaking of, I was going to talk about that. The Word Bros. It's a very cool podcast for both. I think for industry folk and non-industry folk. You guys talk a lot about, the creative process. You have writers and stuff on there, and there's a ton of like a wealth of information. Actually, what made you guys want to start doing that?
We started doing Word Bros because we felt like there wasn't a lot of people there to help us when we started doing comics. And a lot of people have questions when we go to cons. Like that's one of the questions we were asked a lot before we started the podcast. Like, how do you make comics? So we didn't want to sound pretentious. So we were like, well, we would tell them what to do, like, or how we found out how to do it. And that included recommending like books and other things, other sources of information that they could find and how to do it for themselves. But there was a whole bunch of other things we saw. There are other people were saying like, this is how you make comics or this. So like, why don't we just interview other people and ask them too, how they did it? So, and that was Bob's idea.
It's always fun to speak to other people in your industry to see what their trials and tribulations were like coming through the ranks or, their processes and things of that nature. And I figure it's a way to kind of to help out the community because we have creators on from all walks of life. You could be, Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's writing Superman, has been on our podcast. And then we've had guys that are launching Kickstarters for the first time that are just getting into it. Like I've written a bunch of shorts and now I'm going to try my first whole book, and I want to be on your podcast. Cool. So it's just a way for us to kind of pay back to the community that's given us so much,
I love it.
Pay it forward a little bit.
It seems like so many people when asked, and a lot of pros say it on Twitter too, is like, well, the best way to make comics is to make comics, and it's a good response because in a sense it's like if you want to do it, which is good advice, but it's also very vague, and it's like, okay, but like I'm a decent writer, but I can't draw for shit, know. So like I can't just make a web comic. I can't, I would need, like the collaborative effort. So yeah, it's very cool, and you guys have awesome guests, man. Like, and it's what's cool about your guys' show is it's like it seems like on if you guys have a slow week or something, you can rock it together without a guest too, because you guys did like the Dust Pirates episode and stuff like that. So I mean, like you guys have a really solid setup, and people seem to really like it and want to come on your show. So that's got to feel good.
Yeah, it's just cool, man. We respect them. We respect their work. And I think we also know what the work entails. So we know the effort that goes into making a book. We know the effort that goes into running a Kickstarter. So we're almost kind of like
simpatico.
Yeah, very much so. Like we get it, dude. Like we understand what you're going through. So let's just have a conversation. Let's just talk about doing it.
Or we'll just talk about other stuff too. If they were more inclined to talk about, foods that they like or wrestling or whatever, we'll find something to talk about because we're pretty well versed dudes. Like Bobby likes the sport ball a lot, so he could talk about that. There's other things.
He does like to. I see him talk about the Mets online sometimes.
I was doing a rewrite on a script while listening to the Met game, and it was going pretty well. Now we're losing like 9-2. I think it took a turn for the worse real quick.
So
we have a lot of interests. We have a lot of friends, and it's a nice way to keep in touch. Kevin and I started doing a lot more episodes during the pandemic because we couldn't go to shows and we missed all of our comic friends. So like part of it too was just networking. Like, hey, I've never met this person. They seem cool. Let's talk to them. So some of it is just as simple as that, you know, like I bet we would have met this person at Heroes and we would have talked to him. So let's talk to him on the podcast and have like a real conversation as opposed to like standing across from a table and trying to accidentally prevent them from making sales or being at BarCon where you're just screaming over other people screaming at other people screaming. You know what I'm saying? So like have a more civil conversation.
Do you guys have travel plans or con plans? Because it seems like I know like the Kansas City planet's happening in August, and it sounds like New York's going to go down in October. Like it seems like this year they're going to bring it all back in the fall, or they're trying to.
I don't know, man. I'm doing a show in Dayton, Ohio called Gem City, which I really like. It's a smaller show, but it's a good show. I found out that I was doing that via like a social media post that they did. They're like, oh, Bob's going to be at the show. And I was like, for real? I didn't know that. That's awesome. So it's 2 days. It's like 45 minutes away from my house here in Cincinnati. So that's fine. I'll wear a mask and just a hazmat suit and try to sell comics. Kevin and I we've applied to NYCC and C2E2 if we get it. Cool. If not, no big deal.
Yeah, because we didn't really plan on doing any cons this year. So if we get to do one, that's great. If we don't, then we weren't planning on it. So it's okay. Next year we'll be doing back in full force.
Hitting the circuit. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Buddy. Like, I mean, I knew they were trying to have stuff come back, but it seems like the discourse around it is a lot of the pros are like, I don't know if I'm ready for it. You know, like a lot of people are still hesitant. Like, I don't know if I want to shake 1,000 hands in a day right now. You know, like it's that fear is still kind of lingering.
Fist bump. Get the fist bump.
That's elbows.
Elbow. Oh, you can get the bump.
Or just wait. Just friendly waves, just like, or just as long as you're upfront about it, be like, I'm not fucking touching you, man. Like that's.
Well, I mean, if you think about it this way, Blake, and think about it from an honest standpoint, if there was con crud before, it's now evolved.
Yeah.
So now, like, if you shake the wrong hand, you're gonna have the alien burst through your stuff.
True.
And tap dance on your table, and then you're gonna be dying. And
hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. So anytime you can reference Spaceballs in a podcast interview, you're doing a good job.
Nice.
So, I mean, and nobody wants that. So that I don't blame the comic creators who don't want to do it, because if you think about con crud and how many times have you had con crud at a con?
Yeah.
Have you got, or like I've only gotten it once, but it was bad enough that I never wanted to have it again. And that's pretty good standing for con crud out of all the cons we've been to, because we've been to a lot of cons at this point.
Yeah.
It's changed my life a lot as just where I went from, you know, just reading comics to doing podcasts to talking to comic professionals to now I'm doing, you know, blog reviews and stuff. And I'm talking to publishers, and it's like, holy shit. Like it kind of happened in the blink of an eye, and it happened on accident. Cause I was just like, just one day I decided to launch a blog and review this comic, and it just kind of blew up. And I was like, okay. Cool.
Well, I mean, you can kind of make the same case for Kevin and I when it comes to making books. I mean, I'd been doing my own thing for a while, and Kevin had been doing his own thing for a little while, and we combined forces, and we just kind of kickstarted this Metal Shark Bro thing, and we went from zero to hero in no time flat. Like and it seemed like it happened overnight. Like we had this cool idea, we were working on it kind of in secret together with another artist. It didn't really work out. We hooked up with Walter Osley, who's so wonderful and so talented and so so much fun and wears purple a lot. So he's like Prince meets the Joker in 1989. So like we had this combination and it just kind of came together. And then we just kind of burst onto the scene with like, wow, these guys are doing some cool shit. It's like, we've been making comics for a really long time, but it's just, that was the first kind of project that got us any notoriety and I guess readership. So now we're just trying to build upon that. And that's what we're doing with this Dust Pirates. The Kickstarter launches today. So that's what we're going for. So we're just trying to build on that success and build on that momentum.
Is it aggravating when you're not getting a lot of recognition and then you put this comic out and everybody's like, oh, these new creators and they're coming out of nowhere and you're like, fuckers, we've been around for a while. Like, is that aggravating? Or are you just like, no, take it? Yes,
not at all.
Love us.
No.
We're happy that people we were surprised and pleased that it got the reception that it got, because we weren't expecting that. We were expecting again fly under the radar and have to release more stuff. And then when people were like, it started resonating with people and they were like, dude, this Metal Shark Bro book is really good. We're like, oh, we thought so too.
Yeah.
We were also like, yeah, like we've been making comics for a minute, but that's cool that this is the one that you like. We also have other comics you can find on Comixology. We're making more comics. So like there's other things that we're doing. So, and the good thing about there being two of us, we're always doing something. So like one of us is always working on one thing and the other one goes to do another thing. And we flip back and forth between projects. So there's a few irons we have in the fire, but like once we tackle this round of irons, we'll have another set, so that's how we just basically found that it works for both of us.
Yeah, I won't lie. I was really excited. So Bob hit me up on Twitter, and first of all, I was just like, as a nerd and a fan, I was like, holy shit, Bob messaged me. What does Bob want? Like, whoa! And then he told me like, you guys are doing a new Kickstarter, and he was like, we want to talk about it, and I was just like, oh, I was so excited about it just because I missed your guys' last Kickstarter. Like I was late to the game on Metal Shark Bro, and so like I bought the stuff from Scout and heard about it later, and so just to kind of be really excited, like to be like with you guys on a release, like on the ground floor for this Dust Pirates. Like I'm so pumped about it, and I'm just gonna scream from the rooftops because that's
awesome. Thank you.
It's the first issue was very good, which that's why we're here. So we might as well transition to it. Dust Pirates. It's issue 1 gonna drop on Kickstarter.
No, sir. We're doing the whole trade.
Oh, the whole trade.
We're gonna do the whole trade. That's what you have in your hands digitally is the first chapter of a 3-chapter book. So we're doing 80 pages on Kickstarter. The cool part is the first 24 pages are already finished. They're colored, they're lettered. We're going to go back. We made a couple notes, but I mean, for the most part, it's finished. So on day 1, we plan on giving every backer of Dust Pirates, here's issue 1.
Oh, cool.
Like, so you're going to get a PDF of it that day. Like, here it is, 24 hours in, here's your PDF. Enjoy the first chapter of Dust Pirates. Issue 2, I'm working on the notes now, and we've already started issue 3. So we're looking to get this done as quickly as possible. Like, this isn't going to be one of those Kickstarters where, it's not going to happen. We've got an artist in place, Tony Gregori, and a colorist, Josh Jensen, who are so wonderful and so good. And Tony's such a good dude. And Tony's been doing Kickstarters now forever. He's kickstarted a book called Starweed and Ancient Noise. So Tony knows how to do a Kickstarter. He understands that, like, I have to do the work. I have to get this done. So that's what we're doing. So we're just going to hand it off to him and go, all right, dude, start drawing. So yeah, man, it's really exciting. It's really
awesome.
Fun. Yeah.
That's a really good idea too, because it's so recently I backed the Galarian White Ash Kickstarter.
Yes, our boy.
And
he's great.
Charlie's awesome. And I was really surprised to get he split the shipments up. So I got like all the bonus White Ash stuff well before the new Galarian issue's been printed.
That's cool.
And it's just like, that's the only kind of it's both a downside and a cool side to Kickstarter, because I'm fucking addicted to Kickstarters now. Like it's just, I like supporting that group of people. Like they're such good people. And And a lot of, I get approached by a lot of Kickstarter guys now. And so I have to, a lot of stuff now I'm having to back digitally so I can back as many projects as I want. Cause I'm not rich. Like I would love to get like all the extra goodies and stuff for everything. But, it's a really cool idea to kind of reward your Kickstarter backers earlier than anticipated. Cause man, I'll get stuff in the mail and I'll forget it. Like I forget about it. I'm like, oh yeah. Like I forgot I backed this like 5-6 months ago or something.
Well, part of that too is the first issue's done because Kevin and I paid for it out of pocket.
Okay.
It's like we don't have the financial ability to pay an artist and then kickstart something to get that money back, because to make an 80-page comic, to make a 90-page comic with a artist, colorist, letterer, editor, and to pay them a fair page rate on all that stuff, it costs what the Kickstarter basically are asking for.
Yeah.
So we don't have that kind of money just laying around. I mean, I can't speak for I can speak for myself, but I can't speak for Kevin because I know he keeps monies in that beard of his, right, Kev?
Coins. That's where the treasure's buried are.
Yeah. So this is the way we have to do it. But if we can get as far ahead as possible and then kickstart, then sure, that's what we want to do. But yeah, that's just the nature of the beast, man. Like it's expensive to make these books, and that's why the goals are what they are. Like Kevin and I aren't making any money from this Kickstarter once we're finished. We get books, and we get to go to shows and sell books, or have our website and sell books, and this, that, and the other thing. So that's where the money comes in for us. We're just trying to pay for the production. And if we could pay for that, like if I hit the lottery tomorrow, I'd probably go on vacation and then come back and then just pay Tony and Josh and Chaz to do Dust Pirates. I may even give Kevin a touch. But like, here you go, Kev. Take your family somewhere nice, Kevin. You deserve it, baby.
And that's another thing about the Kickstarter stuff that's really cool for us is that this isn't our first rodeo. We did Metal Shark Pro on Kickstarter. We did Metal Shark Pro 2 on Kickstarter. So like we knew what we had to do with those books too. And the thing about those books were Metal Shark didn't start until it looked like we might make the Kickstarter. Like Walter didn't start working on it to look like the Kickstarter might fund, but then he still had to wait to get paid. So like it took longer for that one to get out, because if you imagine the Kickstarter ended, I think on that one in July or August for the first one, backers didn't get that until like February, I think, of the next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's 120 pages he had to draw. So they took him like 3 months or 4 months to do it.
Yeah.
And then get it lettered and saw it printed, all the things you have to do. This one we've already started. So by the time the Kickstarter ends, the book should be just about finished.
Oh, I don't know about that, Kev. That's crazy talk. I hope issue 2 is done by the time, because that means we got to write the stuff.
We're close. It should be somewhere in there, like where we don't have a whole lot left to do.
The book is kind of what we're trying to say is the book is in production as we speak. So it's not like we're just hanging back, because we're going to hopefully fulfill everything by January. Tony said he could have the book done in like October to ship in November, December. But I figured with all the craziness going on in the world, and who knows what's going to happen in the next 3-4 months, that let's give ourselves an extra month or two. So we're going to ship in January of 2022. But I mean, you'll get your PDF for issue 1 as soon as you back that first day. Like I'm just going to put it on there for backers only. Here's your PDF of the book.
That's cool. I really like that. That's a pretty fresh Kickstarter idea. Like I don't know many people who do that.
Well, I think that has been the theme of this Kickstarter for us, is trying to do things a little differently, because not only is that the case, but we're also doing we also cut the book down, since we didn't get it published outright when we tried to pitch it. So we cut it down from the original page count to 80 pages so we could get it done. And we did that because we saw books like Pulp from Brubaker and Phillips and Bog Bodies from Shelby, and they were doing the same sort of thing. They're cutting pages, but you still have a complete story. You only have to invest in this. But what we tried to do with ours, like we modeled it after theirs, but we tried to make it collectible as well, wherein we're going to have different covers for the OGN. So there's going to be 4 or 5 different covers. Is that right?
Oh, no.
There are.
My wallet weeps.
They're fun, dude. Wait till you see these covers. They're
Wait till you see 'em.
beautiful.
They're
Like
awesome.
we got covers from Kaylin Smith did a cover. We got a cover from Jason Copeland from Kill All Monsters and from his book
Nice.
Full Tilt. We have Lana Kangas did a beautiful cover. Eisner nominated artist Mac Chatter did a cover that looks like an Indiana Jones poster. Like it looks like the Indiana Jones movie poster. Like these covers are beautiful, man. We're really excited. We got to work with a lot of cool artists on these things. Joe Mulvey from Wailing Blade did a cover as well. And they're all different. They're all cool. It's going to be fun, man. So, just trying to play up to the variant idea of it, just to try to give people a little bit of options to choose from.
So anyway, Dust Pirates. I will tell our dear listeners that I have gotten to read the first 20 pages, and I was fucking blown away, guys. I also felt stupid because I made that tweet because I assumed like pirates would be on an ocean, and I was trying to be slick and be like, you guys are the masters of oceanography, like Metal Shark Bro, now they're doing pirates. And it was like, oh, there's no water, like so I was like, shit. But yeah, I really like the world building. You guys are really great world builders. You did Metal Shark Bro was like took place kind of in our world, but you got to kind of do your own thing with heaven and hell and the afterlife, and you guys did that well, and you did it crazy, and this new idea of like Atlanteans and pirates and mysticism that you guys are doing, like it's really fucking cool, guys. Like,
Kevin, why don't you take a minute out and tell everybody what the story's about?
Sure. Dust Pirates is kind of a classic pulp adventure that we decided we wanted to do something pulpy and like kind of like things you would see when you were a kid, like Goonies or Indiana Jones or Flash Gordon, because Bobby really likes Flash Gordon.
Love Flash Gordon.
We were gonna do something. We were gonna do something like those kinds of things, but we wanted to make it our own, because like those kind of things, while they're fun and they're cool, they didn't age well. A lot of those properties and stuff didn't age well. So we wanted to do our own version on that, and we also wanted to have like a sort of fantasy feel to it, but like involve some things that were going on in the real world. So there's plots that intertwine within the book that were happening in the real world when we wrote it. So and there's some political stuff in there, and there's some other stuff that's not political, but most of all, strap in and prepare for like a fun story, because that was our primary goal in writing Dust Pirates. Was we're gonna do something else fun, but we're gonna do pulp, but more woke pulp, I guess you would say.
It's a cool book, man. We had a lot of fun doing it. We took the idea of pirates and we were like, well, what else can we do with them? Like, what would make this thing feel different? And it was just kind of like, well, let's make Atlantis dry, because we wanted to kind of play on the ideas of perceptions of what people have in mind when they hear like Atlanteans and pirates and this, that, and the other thing. So Kevin and I, well, what if we did it like it's like almost like, I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, but it's like an after a cataclysmic event. In Atlantis, these pirates are transported here to help a group of revolutionaries overthrow like a cruel and evil dictator who is controlling the most valuable substance in Atlantis, which is water. Because
it's got a very cool Mad Max vibe to it, which I was very
and that's what kind of what we wanted to go for, is like just kind of play with perceptions and ideas of things. So you have this story that's fun and interesting, but there's also like revolutionary tones to it as well. Like you've got these group of mystics who kind of have brought the people together to try to overthrow their cruel king. So it's kind of a fun book. It's a lot of action, it's a lot of intrigue, but it's just big. Like we wanted to do a big action book, and that's kind of what we were shooting for. So we hope it translates. And Tony's art is so good and so beautiful and kind of over the top that it does kind of, I think the pieces were in place to make it all kind of work out.
Yeah, the art is great. Like in the opening chapter, like the splash pages with the ships and the desert background, and the characters all look great. The Atlanteans look really great. There's that part with the giant fish, like that was cool. Like I don't want to I was just like it's you know, that you guys have some really great page turns. Like I'll never get tired of that cool feeling of even reading on a tablet. It's not as great all the time as reading like a physical copy, but you know, that's that good page turn to a great splash, whether it's a single page or a double giant splash. Like you guys have that, and you guys are you're really good at that in this new book you're putting out. Like I was really blown away, just the little snippet I got to see. Like Sam and Hendrik, like I am down for more adventures with those guys. Like I love how they just are like I love how they just like bullshit with each other. Like hell is raining down around them and there's like a battle taking place and they're just like, they're talking like they're sitting at a bar, like nothing's going on around them. And it works so well. Like you, the characterizations like built in the interactions between both of those. Like I'm so excited to get to know them better and see what more you have planned for them.
Well, the cool part about that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Go ahead.
There you go. Go. You go.
I know what I'm going to say, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, that's all by design because we wanted to make these dudes appear and be people that are experienced in this chaotic world that they've lived in. Yes, they lived in, 17th century, pirating, but nothing is out of their comfort zone. So for us, at least that when writing, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of the hellfire is raining down upon them, but these guys, they're experienced people. They know what they're doing. It's kind of like if you're a waiter and you got a crazy lunch shift and you've got a new waiter who's there, who's freaking out and they don't know what to do. Like, oh my God, this place is so busy, but someone that's been there for a while and knows the territory and knows what they're doing. They move easy, they move swiftly, they move coolly because they know that, hey man, I'm going to get through this. Like I'm going to figure it out. Not to take away the sense of the danger, but just because they're experienced and they know what they're doing. So we wanted to try to show that right off the bat. Like, hey, this isn't their first rodeo, Sam and Quintor. They know what they're doing. They know what's happening. So go ahead, Kevin.
That was the core of the book, was that these two guys are really good friends. They're not only like Quintor, I believe, informs the audience that he's the first mate and like his job is to help the captain, and Sam is the captain. But they're also like friends besides that. It's not just they're crewmates and they're stuck there and they don't like each other. They're like good friends and they have each other's back. And even through this thing with Atlantis, the main part of the book, one of the underlying themes, like I was talking about, a lot of things intertwined, is the theme of friendship, and how your friendship with your friends. Bob and I have been friends for years. How your friendship changes, but you remain friends. And even though these guys are stuck in Atlantis and they're having all these things happen around them, and that affects their friendship in ways, as you'll see as the book goes on, the core part of it is these guys are friends and they have each other's backs. So that's what we wanted to do, is kind of like a buddy cop thing where they're not cops, but they're pirates. So we wanted to like do a riff on that, but make them like, so you would see yourself and your friendships and relationships through these two guys and what they go through, and how like Bobby and I break each other's balls all the time. That's what these guys do. They're definitely breaking each other's chops like a lot of the book, but that just shows that they're friends, like, and they're that close that they can do that, and the other one doesn't get offended. They laugh. They have jokes and stuff.
So I remember you guys told me a while back when Metal Shark Bro kind of happened, you guys had read you'd read the article about how sharks like responded to heavy metal music, and and you guys and you guys like were I think like Kevin, you were driving home from a con or something, or Bob was driving home from a con, and you guys called and were talking about it. What prompted this? Like, I mean, like you guys have this pirate tale, but it's not just a pirate tale. Like you mentioned earlier, like you've changed it. How can we be different? How can we, stand out from the pirate crowd, which you're totally doing. But like, what was there like a story or an article or something that
no, it was just we wanted to tell like a big kind of sweeping pulp story. Like we wanted to do something kind of action centric, kind of different from Metal Shark Bro, because as much kind of cool things have happened to us and for us because of Metal Shark Bro. We wanted to kind of flex a different muscle on this. So we wanted to tell like a big sweeping action story, like a grand epic. I think we were talking about Waterworld one day because Kevin and I both are big fans of Waterworld, the movie Waterworld. And I'm not afraid to say that I love that movie. It's corny at points, but it's fucking cool.
I still remember going to see that with my dad in theaters, and like just the shock of, I was obsessed with Robin Hood as a kid.
That movie's great too.
Yeah. So like I was just all into Kevin Costner because I was obsessed with Robin Hood, and my dad takes me to see Waterworld, and the first scene is he's like pissing into this contraption, and then he drinks his piss water, and I was just like, I was like, this isn't Robin Hood. What's happening?
So we just kind of wanted to flex some different muscles and tell a different kind of story and do one of these like big sweeping action sequences. But it's just like, well, what can we do with pirates? Well, what if the place they're on is dry? Well, oh, that's cool. Well, why is it dry? Oh, that's even cooler. Oh, that's fun too. So then we just kind of started building and world building and kind of going out from there. We had an initial premise and we just kind of expanded it and hit the ball. Kevin and I like to play like verbal tennis with each other, idea tennis. We just hit the ball back and forth, and it just kind of kept expanding and getting bigger and bigger. And Dust Pirates is kind of what we settled on.
And to add to what Bobby's saying is, we got to the point where like, well, who are the characters? And I was doing research on pirates, and I found that the richest pirate ever was Sam Bellamy, who was Black Sam Bellamy in the book. And they called him Black Sam because he had dark hair, and in favor of the powdered wig, which was the fashion thing of the day, he would just tie his black hair back. He had long black hair. He would tie it back. And that's that. And then as I kept reading, there's excerpts from his crew and other things in there, and the ships that he commanded, because technically he's the richest pirate, but he was only a pirate for a year before his ship sunk off the coast of Cape Cod, and he drowned apparently. But what if he didn't drown was the question. I said, what if it's this guy? And then I was reading about some of the guys that were on the ship with him, and this guy's really interesting. This tough hand Hendrik Quintor, he seems like an interesting dude. So there was quotes from Quintor, who was actually a Dutch guy. He was actually a Dutch slave before he became a pirate. So we found things in those characters that we liked, and we pulled right from history, since Bobby's a history major, and he liked some of the things that we were pulling out of there. I was like, we could use all this stuff to build a bigger story and tell a story underneath the other story. And we both thought that was a good idea to do with this, because some of the pulp stuff you read is sort of it's got one note, you know, and we wanted to be able to do more than that. And we thought we were going to have more pages to do that, but it turns out that cutting the page count was actually better for the story in the long run. It cut out some of our world building stuff. Not that I'd say that it felt extraneous that we had that extra stuff in there. I felt like it was necessary, and so did Bob, but it made us really dig down and get to the meat of what we were trying to say much quicker without those extra pages. And so that allowed us to make the story leaner and more like sleek when we're going into like what we're going to do and what the story is for and what we wanted to do with it. It made us really crunch down on those ideas and abandon some of the other ideas we wanted to put in there to make the story just sing.
Well, I know, like, I mean, just with like prose, with you know, short stories and novels and even poetry. I mean, the name of the game is condense, right? Condense your writing, strengthen it, and. But I mean, then when you think about like the comic book world, where you're paying artists for page rates too, that's probably got to help too when you can cut pages of a story just to make things more affordable.
Yeah, it's just kind of trimming the fat. Like, you know, it's not. I wouldn't say like the story is the cool part about it is we did trim the book down, but the story is not different. It's just like you said, it just kind of moves along a little bit quicker. And working with Tony and working with Josh. The cut letterer and Chaz Pangburn, who letters the book and edits. Like, it's just such a fun experience to do because they all have their input too. Like, it's not just, you know, it's not just Kevin and I being like terrible dictators. We're just we like input from everyone involved in the book, and I think that also makes it a more pleasurable experience to work on. So we just want to make the best books that we can, and I think with the crew, if you will, to use a pirate term that we've assembled, I think we've got a really great book here, and I think people are really going to dig it. It's a lot of fun.
So Bob mentioned that you guys had been working on this like well before Metal Shark. Like this has been in the oven for a while.
It was, we were working on this with Tony before we had Walter on Metal Shark Bro. We already had, like Bob had said earlier, another artist on Metal Shark Bro. We weren't getting any pages back. They were busy doing something else. So it was like, okay, he's like, I'm going to get to it, I swear. And we were like, okay, that's cool. Take your time. So while we were waiting on that, we started this. And that was all due to Tony, because Tony was on the podcast because he had a book out. Huh?
I said, see? Networking.
Because he had a book at Vault called Deuce of Hearts. And he was advertising the book. And at the end of the show, we were just all talking, because we do that with our guests when the show's over. And Tony is like, well, I was like, we should just do something together, because he was talking about things that he wanted to kind of draw and stuff. I was, we should all just do something together. And he was like, all right, man, send me your idea and we'll talk about it. And so Bob and I started doing this idea, and then I sent it over to Tony once we had like the rough foundations, and Tony had some ideas. So then the idea ball, like you said, started getting tossed between the three of us, and this is where it ended up.
And it's cool. And I remember getting those initial designs back from Tony, which will be in the book.
Yeah.
Because we want to do like 80 pages of story, maybe like 92 pages total of like back matter and all this other stuff. So it's still going to be a sizable book for the $20 entry fee for the print cost, which isn't too bad.
No, that's not bad. That's normal. I mean, that's pretty Kickstarter normative.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking to do, but we're going to stick some of the back matter in there. But Tony would send us these designs, and it's like, holy smokes, these things are so good. So Kevin and I mean, I can't speak for Kevin, but I was like, I have to work really hard to write a story that is worthy of these impressive designs, because the last thing I didn't want to be the weak link in the chain. So, I felt like we both stepped our game up to write this story to kind of fit Tony's great designs. And then once we brought Josh in to do the colors, the book just kind of came together. It was just singing, like, it just looks fantastic. And we couldn't be happier with the way it looks.
That's got to be a cool feeling, because I know I recently backed a Kickstarter, Tales from the Interface, and I paid a little extra. I like the guy's art, so I paid extra for a sketch, and I think he kind of hooked me up a little bit, because I gave him a good review too.
Nice.
But I asked for there's this. Well, I gave him an on. It's a great comics, but I mean, I loved it, so the review is great, so but I was like, he sent me the digital issues, and I was like, I gotta get I love this, I gotta have them for the shelf, so I bought them, and for like 10 extra bucks, man, you could get a sketch. And so he was like, put what you want and I'll maybe do it, is what the Kickstarter said. And in the comic, they recycle people, and there's like these gingerbread cookies made out of recycled people that they give you to your like family when people die.
Baby.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he had drawn these Ninja Turtles on his Instagram, and I was like, hey, I want Michelangelo eating a gingerbread cookie. And so, man, he ended up drawing Michelangelo eating a gingerbread cookie, and Master Splinter's behind him with this like horrified look on his face, like, these cookies are made of people. And so Master Splinter's like, and Michael's just like chowing down on it, and so like, just seeing that, like, I requested this and paid for it, and he drew it, and it's like, wow. But to send someone your ideas and your characters, and to have them like send that back to you and see that's got to be like a really intense, like gratifying, awesome feeling.
It was always great with Tony, because from the get-go, Tony had ideas about things like he had ideas about the things that make the ships float and things like that, because our initial idea was more like is like a silt sea of dust, and that's still there. But he was like, what if the ships floated above them? What if these things, like, because we're having like magic in the book, there's like that elemental magic sense that we have going on. Like, what if this did this? What if this did that? What about this? And like, Tony had all these ideas coming in, and like, they were all really great. So we found ways to incorporate things that he wanted to draw in there too, that just made the story better. And that was a lot of fun too, because one of the initial things he drew that Bob and I really thought was super dope was the palace where Zizor is, and it's made out of crystal, and like the way that it looks in this one sketch that he did, it's like very, I don't want to like step on toes or anything, but like very like Bernie Wrightson or like Bars Vallejo, or not completed, but like what you would see the sketch and it's going to turn into something like super dope, or Frank Frazetta like style. And it was like, holy crap, that thing is amazing. Like, how did he even, like, I just saw this like kind of Crystal Castle, like generic in my head. And then he like visualized what this place would look like and what it would be, and why the Emperor would live here, and like all these other things that Tony put into the story that just make it sing. And that doesn't account for things that Josh did that was amazing too. Josh is the colorist, Josh Jensen. He's done amazing things with Tony's work that makes it even better than the initials that we got. So like that's the best part about making comics for us.
Yeah, it's every day. Every day you get, when you get new pages or new designs or anything in your inbox, it's like Christmas. It's perfect. It's wonderful. You're like, wow, look at this. This is, I can't believe this. It's coming together. And then each step you get closer, it's more exciting. And then you launch the Kickstarter, and then it's terrifying. And then hopefully you fund, and then it's exciting again because you can make the thing, and then it gets terrifying again because it's like, holy shit, now we have to actually make the thing. And to make the thing, there are a lot of steps involved. Luckily for us, we've already kind of done a lot of that. Like, we're going to have black and white skull and crossbone enamel pins, glow in the dark. We're going to have glow in the dark skull and crossbone enamel pins. We've already paid for those. They're coming already. So that's one less thing we have to do. So I like to kind of put the pieces together before the Kickstarter starts. So that's less things that have to get done. So then all we really have to focus on is the book. Like all the covers that I mentioned that are beautiful, they're already done. The last two covers are being colored by Josh tomorrow, and then I'm going to put them up on the Kickstarter page for the launch. So all these things are already in place. So Kevin and I just have to worry about finish writing the book, and then once all that stuff is done, then shipping. Because if you wait till the end of your campaign, like, okay, it's December, this thing's going out in January, I don't have my pins, I don't have the print, I don't have any of that, then you're screwed. It's nice to kind of build as you go. So before we launch, we'll have a lot of this stuff done already. The first issue's already finished. The pins are in route from England, because I ordered them from England for some reason, because I'm a Britophyte because I love British soccer and music and stuff. So they're coming this way. So we're already, this thing is already coming together. It's just a matter of, at this point, funding. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're hoping for. So we hope you guys check out the book on the page, the Kickstarter page. When you check it out, all the covers are there, the pins are there, and there's already, I think, like 4 or 5 pages of the story. The first 6 or 7 pages are there on the page, so you'll get to see that as well. So it's just a good time, and we're gonna make this book, and it's gonna rule. I
think it is. I mean, I question everybody if it doesn't, because like I said, I'm big fans of you guys. Just
thank you.
Who you are in the community. I mean, you guys are just good dudes. You've been with the shows and stuff I've been involved with. You guys have both been, really just, retweeting stuff we post and willing to like come on and talk to us like now. And you guys treat your fans well, and you're well loved in the community, which, I mean, we see with Word Bros. I mean, I feel like people are excited to come on that show and talk shop. And so I'm excited. Like I said, Thanks. This is my first ground floor with you guys. Like I'm gonna get the cool Kickstarter goodies.
Hey, listen, Brent. It doesn't matter where you get in as long as you get in. Like you can get in if Kevin and I are working for Marvel one day, or we have a Dark Horse book, you can get in there too. But hey, as long as you get in, and that's what's important, just get on board, man. We're going to try to tell some good stories. We're going to write some cool books, and we're going to go from there. It doesn't matter where, so don't feel bad about it. And if you missed Metal Shark Bro, if you hear us talking about this and you don't know what Metal Shark Bro is, we have tiers on the Kickstarter where you can get Metal Shark Bros Volume 1 and 2. So like you can get 3 books. Nice. So yeah, so you can add on things as well. So we're trying to kind of incorporate all the things that we've done in the past here now to make this thing happen.
That's one of my favorite parts about Kickstarter is just the bonus goodies.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about Kickstarter is basically the direct interface you have with the audience. And that's, I think, our favorite part of Kickstarter is you get to directly interact with the people who want to buy your stuff. And in that interaction, like, they get to come away from the experience with not only just a book, but like a memory or an experience, like an actual, like, quote unquote, like, adventure for them, you know, is talking to the people who actually made the book and doing the things that they would want to do as fans of things. So that's part of our favorite part of it, is because the interactions we get to have with the people who want to buy our books is actually very substantial on Kickstarter. It's not like a little thing. It's a big deal to them, and we like the fact that they treat it that way. That's really super cool. Like, it's humbling in a way, because, you know, you come into comics, you think no one's going to buy your stuff, and then you've got someone that's telling you, hey man, I really love everything you guys are doing, like, keep doing that. It's fuel to keep making stuff.
And it's cool too with Kickstarter to kind of reward people that get in on the ground floor to play to the exclusivity of it. The covers we mentioned, those are going to be available in limited number only on Kickstarter. You're never going to see those anywhere else. So you're not going to see these covers in the direct market. You're not going to see them in those places. These covers that we're getting, it's exclusive to Kickstarter. The back matter that we're going to add to the book, that's exclusive to Kickstarter, because we want to reward the people and the backers who get in on the ground floor, like, hey man, check out all this extra cool stuff that you can get. So that's part of the cool part of Kickstarter for us too, is to kind of come up with all the bonus. Kevin, I'm going to get motion sickness of all the cool stuff that you can add in. So we're just trying to keep it going, man. Just trying to keep this train rolling, making comics and having a good time doing it. So that's, and we thank you for having us on your forums, Blake, to allow us to talk to your audience about our thing. So it's very cool.
No, yeah, I mean, you're welcome, but also, I mean, you guys make me look cool. Like,
no, stop it.
We don't make anyone look cool, not even ourselves. So, I mean, we're definitely not paragons of cool, my friend. We make comics, so that instantly, like, puts us on that nerd list, like, from back in the day in high school. So I don't know about cool, but we might make you look a whole bunch of other things. Probably not.
I think what's more important is telling cool stories, and I think we've been so far, we've been doing that, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I agree. You guys do tell cool stories, and you're like you mentioned, you're seasoned Kickstart veterans. So, I mean, you know, everybody's heard the Kickstart horror stories, but I mean, you guys have launched several successful campaigns. So, like, you've been this. You've played this game before and you've won this game before, and I'm sure I have no doubt this is going to fund. Like, it's so good, and you guys have a really good following.
Everybody says that, and I don't know why. Like, it's very frightening to me. Oh, you fund? It's like, come on, man. I don't know. It's stressful.
Yeah, we're not positive like that. Like, and it's not that we're not positive that we don't believe in the book. We believe 100%, 120% in this book. It's not that. It's just, you never know if this is the book that people want, or, like, we make the books that we want to make. So it's not we're not, I don't want to say we don't have a pulse on that. We do have an idea, but I wouldn't say our fingers are exactly on the pulse of what people want. We know what we would like to see. And so when we started talking about this, it was one of those things that we would like to see. So that's why we decided to do it. And hopefully, like, we can prove, like, some of the publishers out there wrong when we've tried to pitch them ideas and they're like, oh yeah, like, I don't think this would sell, or this wouldn't sell. It's the same thing I have with Metal Shark Bro. And at this point for us, like, we'll try and send you a pitch. And if you don't want it, that's cool. We'll try and make it anyway. Like, that's just where we're living right now as creators, because we believe in our ideas first and foremost. So it's cool if they don't want to do it. We'll find a way to do it. Like, and I think that it's plays to the way that the comics market is going. Like, everybody thought COVID was going to destroy the comics market. And I'd say it's weird, because at the beginning it might've felt like that, but I feel like comics have come back even stronger.
Oh yeah. I'm with you there 100%.
That's just the way I feel, just from looking at comics Twitter, in some ways it's come back even more. Like the pandemic brought people to comics that would have normally not been in there buying comics, and that's great. And I think that's wonderful. Now that if the comics market can keep those people there and keep them buying comics, that's a great thing.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Bob while we were waiting for you because you made us wait so long, and we're awkward.
That's why I was making Bob motion sick.
The pandemic, man, it I mean, changed my life in a sense for just my nerd life, because I started podcasting with friends, and that was like a whole new deal. And I never thought I had a voice that people really gave a shit about or wanted to hear. And I found out I was wrong, because I do. Like, people keep following me. Now I've got the blog and the reviews, and people like my reviews, and professionals are talking to me, publishers are talking to me. And so the pandemic leveled up my nerd life in a really cool way, which sucks because I know it fucked up so much shit for everybody else. But I was like, I was a bouncer and working in a popular bar for over 7 years. And
I was Dalton in Roadhouse. That's amazing.
I never ripped anyone's throat out, but man, I had a crazy life, man. I was partying all the time, and I'd get off work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we'd go to our boss's house, and I'd come crawling in the door at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, sleep all day, go back to work at 9 o'clock at night to work the busy shifts. And when that, eventually I lost that job because stuff happened. And I, even before the pandemic, man, I kind of was just I turned into kind of a hermit, because I was like, it's kind of nice not being around people. It's kind of nice not, I'm not dealing with all these people all the time, and just the quietness of the office life. And I was like, wow, this is a whole new world. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, no, I just get to sit around and read comics. Okay,
there you go.
This,
living the dream, dude.
So yeah, so now things are changing, and my friends are like, hey, come over for dinner, and I'm like, I was like, I miss the days, or now I feel like I have to do these things because you haven't seen these people in a while. So yeah, you got to go make appearances in places now. And I was like, man, I kind of miss the days where you just texted me and we all knew that we weren't going to do anything this weekend, and I just got to sit around in my gym shorts all weekend and not worry about anything.
That's
so yeah,
hilarious.
it's been a different world for sure.
But I'll tell you for sure, I think more people got into Kickstarter because you couldn't get a lot of the stuff. You couldn't go to shows. You couldn't go to cons. You couldn't go to your comic shops. So you could back these books and they would be delivered to your door. And I mean, when you had guys like Keanu Reeves and Scott Schneider and those fellas doing their books, bringing people to the platform, I think it helps everybody. So yeah, man, Kickstarter is a really great way for a creative to get your book out there and get it made. You just have to do the work, and that's where we are now. We built the page, we're running this thing out there, and hopefully we fund.
Yeah, either Kickstarter or get Keanu Reeves in a comic book. You heard it here. How do you make comics? Kickstarters or Keanu Reeves? That's
or
it.
Both.
Or both. If you do both,
you've got millions apparently. So, and that's not a bad thing. It's not even a dig, because I've seen people in comics be salty about that. And Bob and I talked about it, and we're both super happy.
Yeah.
Brought people to the platform, because it kind of legitimizes Kickstarter, wherein we did Metal Shark Bro, and it was like, oh, the reason why the direct market fans' view of Kickstarter was the reason why this thing is on in the Kickstarter verse instead of the direct market is because they can't get a publisher.
They're not good.
Yeah, these guys suck. That's why this Metal Shark Bro book is up there. And what happened after that was oh, well, Scott Snyder did a Kickstarter. All of a sudden, oh, you can be talented and do a Kickstarter. So it legitimized the platform for people like Bob and us and other creators who are trying to bring their work to an audience, and that helps us in unimaginable ways. So in a way, we owe a debt of gratitude to guys like Scott Snyder and Keanu Reeves and the guy that did Mind Management. His name is
Matt Kent.
Yeah.
The bad idea, folks.
Yeah. So it's a good thing that they brought all these people to the platform, because it helps creators in in the smaller, basically it all seeps down to the cracks. And so if your creator has a $3,000 book up there and you thought you weren't going to fund it, you make so many more people are on there now because of that. You're making $5,000-$6,000 a book, which like may allow you to pocket a little bit of that money to make your next project amazing for a creator. Because the perception of Kickstarter is you make a lot of money on Kickstarter and you're making all this money. And like, to be honest, man, there's better ways to make a lot of money, and comics isn't one of them. And comics on Kickstarter definitely isn't one of them. Yeah. So that perception is skewed, and it doesn't help like guys like us, because that's not the truth. Like a lot of that money goes to making the book.
Well, and not just that. I mean, there's still taxes, and then I mean, I'm sure Kickstarters like PayPal and eBay and they take
their share. If you make over a certain amount on Kickstarter, then you get a 1099 at the end of the year. You got to pay for shipping, you got to pay for printing, you got to do all this stuff. But the reward as the writers of the book is you get your book.
Yeah,
you get this thing that you've helped create, and that's why we do it, and that's why we love it. That's why we hope. But I think there's a cicada in my house. I think it's in my chimney. But yeah, so it's just a lot of fun, and we're just going to rock it out. And we hope you back this book. We hope you guys back the Dust Pirates. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really proud of what we've been able to do, and it's awesome.
And I think it's a good time for pirate comics because there's not many. I know everybody's super pumped about Dr. Steph Phillips has she's doing volume 2 of A Man Among Ye, and like that image put out that press release, and that people are really hyped about that. And it's just, like comics is a wonderful place where like, we get the sex of genre fiction and these like little niches where you can get cool stuff. And there's not a lot of pirate stuff, but people like pirates.
I can guarantee you our book is completely different from Steph's book, and that's another great part of comics. Like she's telling her pirate story, we're telling our pirate story, and they couldn't be more different, which is part of the beauty of comics.
Yeah.
You get to pick, which pirate story you want to, or both, and both is a good thing for us and for Steph Phillips. So it's great that there's that diversity of, it's a pirate story, and hers is a pirate story, but like, does that mean that it's not that it's going to be the same sort of thing? No, because we're doing our thing, they're doing theirs, and that's how that works. And the cool thing is, like, you get both books, you get like all this pirate stuff that you could be longing for since the demise of that, whether it was Star Show, Black Sails, or whatever. So like a lot of people watch the show. So since that's not around anymore, now like you have another way to get your pirate on, and we're all for that.
Get your pirate on. That's the slogan.
Yeah, and you got to get pirate metal in there. That's why I posted some pirate metal for people, because I think people thought that was a joke, and I sent some to Bob and Tony was like, I can't believe this exists. Like he thought I was making a joke, and I was like, no, there's a real thing.
Like a couple months ago, like sea shanties like took the internet by storm, and like everybody was. It's so weird how trends happen, man. Like.
Dude, I mean, if people lived in their houses for far too long and got into some really weird shit, it's just what I'm going to equate that to, man.
Yeah, because I saw a Nickelback sea shanty, and I thought that was the oddest thing I've ever seen. This is really weird that they're doing like the Rockstar sea shanty, and I was like, I have no idea what to think about this, because I didn't like the regular one, but this isn't like bad. So I don't know. Like I was like. Either it means I'm getting old or like something's wrong. Like, I don't know, but
something's definitely wrong if Nickelback is good.
And the sea shanty was good. That's the weird part.
That's funny. I didn't know they put out one. I just know like I'm not like a big TikToker, but thinking about doing like comic book TikTok videos, but like video editing scares the shit out of me, guys.
But that's the thing. There's nobody doing that. Like
like that's what I thought too. Like no one's on it.
Like there's nobody. If I had the intelligence and the wherewithal to do TikTok, because I don't know anything about it. I'm 43 years old, man. I'm an old ass man. I don't know shit about TikTok. But if I did, I mean, a comic TikTok sounds like a great idea. It's a great way to promote books. People be loving that TikTok shit, man.
That's what sucks is it's like these like fucking 9-year-olds will like do these like really crisp edited, like well recorded videos. And I'm 35 and I've used a computer like every day of my life basically. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm like, shit, I'm my dad now, you know, like which mouse do I use?
You're
like,
Kevin.
Welcome to my life.
So you guys also, I wanted to ask about Tales from Kara Prime. You guys did a short for them.
Look at you doing research.
Well, I didn't. This wasn't research. This was I saw your guys' name on it and I backed it because I was like, oh fuck yeah. But it was it was weird. Like I didn't see many, like when I backed it, it was fully funded. So, you know, like I just hadn't heard much about it. And it was one of those like Kickstarter was like, oh, you might like this, which is like the new drain of my wallet. Cause I'm a super backer now. Right. So I get these like special emails from Kickstarter. They're like, oh, Blake, like you want to get it on the ground floor. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I do, Kickstarter. You know, like, it's straight up crack cocaine. And like, but I saw this and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. And then I was like looking at the creator list and I saw your guys' name on it and I was like, done. And I was like, that's fucking dope. Cause you guys did another one which we talked about, the stairway, right? With
yes, yeah.
That was like that was a big one. That was from Image, wasn't it?
Yeah. We did a story in the Stairway anthology called The Spirit of 666.
Yeah,
it's kind of a story about a guy who gets kind of trapped in America, but we condensed that one too because it had to be a certain page count. So could we sum up what we were trying to do with what we were going to do with a full issue in 8 pages to give you an idea of what we will probably come back to that someday because we've talked to Chris on that. Chris DeBari, we've talked to him extensively about what we want to do. He's just busy doing other things like right this second, and so are we. So we're going to come back to that sandbox and playing it again. But that is basically, what if colonial America was invaded by demons? What if the Pilgrims were actually like devil worshippers? So that's what that story entails, like what America looks like after being ravaged by demons and such.
Is it the same? Is it basically now? Did anything change?
Pretty much.
Well said.
But I mean, we had a lot of fun with that story, and we came up with that idea. God, when we first started working together, that was one of the ideas we had talked about. And we talked about doing it in like a Conan sort of way, like the way Howard told Conan stories, but they weren't consecutive. So you could jump in anywhere in those stories and you didn't need to know what the timeline was. All you need to do is be familiar with the initial story that prompts this character on this journey. And then you could jump in anywhere in those books and get a good story. Because we both were big fans of Savage Sword of Conan, and we both really wanted to do something like that, where it's like there's all these tales about Conan, but you don't know where they take place in his life. But does it matter when you read it? It's fucking awesome. Yeah. So like that's what we were trying to do with that. And then we did Tales from Kara Prime with Silverbacks because he came to us and was like, "Hey, I have this character I think you guys would really like to write, and I don't know what to do with it. Like, do you guys want to do this?" And so we were like, yeah, sure. And Bob and I tossed the idea around like we always do. And we came up with some really cool stuff for the character. And even created some new things with it. And you'll see it when you get did you get the book yet?
No, not yet. Okay.
So you'll see it when you get the book. I don't want to spoil anything for you.
I think these are so impressive from an audience standpoint, just to see that a regular issue is hard enough, right? You guys are limited. You get 22 pages or so, and you gotta implant enough, need for a second issue. Also, it has to kind of make it needs to make sense on its own, and warrant the purchase of the following issue. So, you got all these things that you got to think about when you're writing it, and then to condense that from 22 pages to like 8 or 10 if you're lucky, like. I just think it's wildly impressive to see all you guys, these creatives, just like what you can do in 8 pages, and especially like when they really hit, You know, it's just like I'm a lit nerd. Like, you know, when you read like a really great short story and you're like, fuck, like 18 pages just changed the way I thought about writing.
Yeah.
And you guys do that in an 8-page comic script, you know, with art. Like that's dope. Like I
Thanks,
really
man.
like that.
Well, we're trying. We're just trying to make these books. We're trying to make this stuff happen. We really enjoy what we're doing. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, we're just gonna keep on making these books, dude. That's all we can do, you know.
Hey, we're here for it. I'm here for it anyway. I don't know about everybody else. Everybody else is dumb if they're not. I'm here. you guys got my money. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
We appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
No, I appreciate you guys. Like I said, this was just the first interview we did, you know, a few months ago. Like I was just, you guys were my first like pro interview. Like the first time I got to like talk to.
We're sorry.
Let's not throw. Yeah, let's not. You're throwing that word "pro" around. Like, come on. Let's dial that back a little bit.
But so I mean, you guys were the first one, and like I was telling Bob in the green room, like, so Kevin, you missed this part because you were late. No, I'm just messing with it. We were talking, and you know, like the joke with me and my friends is that I quit podcasts, right? So now I'm doing my own thing because like I can't quit myself theoretically, hopefully. But the last time we had you guys on, like, you know, there was we got the time zones confused and it ended up being an hour late. It was an interesting interview and I had no idea how it was going to go. And then we had the connectivity issues and stuff. And I mean, you guys very well could have been like, hey, we gave you 45 minutes. You guys, we haven't even started yet. Like, I mean, you guys could have, you were very generous to us. And so
well, like this interview is done. Bye.
Well, I mean, it's
earlier Bob said that if it got bad, he'd put his pirate outfit on. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, that way I'll really know if I'm fucking up. He hasn't put the pirate hat on, so I guess it's been okay.
No,
it's
but you're doing fine.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where it's if we make these books and we can't, sometimes you feel like you're making them in a vacuum, like no one knows, you know, and if we come on your show, Blake, and let's say, I don't know how many listeners you have, but let's say you have 200 listeners, right?
That's generous.
Let's say 200 people listen to your podcast and watch your videos online. If Kevin and I can be interesting enough to attract 4 of them, then hey, that's 4 people that didn't know we existed. Yeah. So it's just kind of, you're building momentum and you're building your audience, and it takes a lot of time. So you have to have patience with everyone that is willing to talk to you. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm done. That's it.
And for us, we've been doing our podcast for what, like 3 years now?
Yeah.
We took a big break because we were working on a bunch of stuff and stuff with Metal Shark Pro happened, but then we came back to it, and it seems like more people are listening to that podcast now than were before too. So like, it's just another platform for us to run our mouths about comics, and that's something both of us like to do. So like, we're very incessant. We even do Twitter Spaces and stuff at times where we're just talking about comics because we love it. You know?
Yeah, and if you're gonna have us on to let us talk about our books, then cool. Like, that's awesome. We can figure it all out. Well, we can sit through some technical difficulties and things of that nature. So it's not a big deal to us.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was terrifying. Like, I was just
fine.
like, and not like, because like you guys are cool and you guys are chill, but I mean, it's just like when I do something, I like to do it well, you know. Like I don't like to half-ass stuff, and you know, when I do something, I want to do it right, and it's stressful when there's other people involved, and you can't, you know, like I can't like lean over these guys and be like, make sure you read that book, you know, and you just kind of got to rely on people. And then it just, you know, it was just like, I just remember that night, man. And I was like, I was really excited. I went from really excited to, oh God, this is a dumpster fire. Like, it was just like you're going up, like I was on the roller coaster lift hill, you know, and I was like, this is going to be great. This is going to be so cool. This ride's excellent. And then right when you get up on the hill, like your shoulder harness pops off and you're like, oh, I'm going to fucking die.
You know what? Everybody made it through. I think we had a nice time. It was fun.
No, well, it was a good time. It just, like I said,
Yes.
it was nervous, and it's kind of nice. Even tonight, like I had talked to you guys before, but I was like, man, I'm by myself. You know, that's the benefit of having other people. You know, there's the stressors of like other people not doing the work, but the benefit of having other people on the show is that, oh, well, if I get tongue tied or run out of shit to say, maybe someone else will have something to say.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, Kevin and I always have shit to say like that. You don't ever have to worry about that with us around.
Plus, your experience sounds like you're making comics, Blake. You're on a roller coaster with no harness. There you go. That's what.
That's how it is.
Yeah,
you're just holding on to the seat.
Yes.
You're hoping to die, and you're hoping when that loop comes that somehow your ass stays in the seat and makes it. So that's that is also Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of feelings that happen. So we're trying to prepare for those, like me especially, because Bobby's going to be texting me every 10 minutes. So I'm waiting to happen because like he is the biggest worrywart ever. But like I love him to death. But like I'll get a text at like 3 a.m. because he woke up to pee and checked his phone. Like
yeah, I mean, you know, I got to know if anybody backed the book at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Another one, and that's what it'll be. It'll be like another one with a text, and I'll be like, Jesus Christ, you know.
I mean, I got to do what you got to do, man. You got to get these books funded.
Yeah.
We got
as a creator, does like Kickstarter, because like I get tons of notifications from Kickstarter now because I back a lot. But like when you guys are running a campaign, does like Kickstarter give you like cell phone notifications
every day?
Yeah, and it'll be like ding ding, like
at the end of the night. I don't get you can set it up where every time you get a backer it tings, but every morning you would get a breakdown of yesterday's Kickstarter activity. And so like some of those days are awesome and some of those days are fucking terrible. But you just kind of roll with it and hopefully you fund. And we funded for both volumes of Metal Shark Bro, which was a lot higher goal than we're asking for now. We're only asking for like $12,600 to get the book made, because that's part of the benefit of it only being 80 pages.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. So we're not asking for a total fuck ton of money, but we've been in the $25,000 range. We're in the $3,000 range. And I mean, it's still nerve wracking no matter where you are. Ninja Nuns funded in the first like 8 hours, which was amazing.
Oh, wow.
But it was still fucking stressful because you're just like, okay, cool. We're funded. What terrible thing can happen? And luckily nothing did. So we're hopefully nothing happens terrible for this. We're really excited about the book coming out. We really think your audience, Blake, is going to have a good time with it. It's a big, sweeping action adventure book that's kind of funny. Like there's some funny moments in it. It's just a really good time. It's big, it's bold, it's revolutionary, but it still has a lot of heart. And at the end of the day, it's just about friends and friendship and the trials and tribulations that friends go through.
I don't know about that.
You don't know?
You're right.
That's the guy who just wants to get the text and sit home in his gym shorts.
Yeah. I'm just like, please leave me alone.
Again, Blake, it sounds like you're making comics, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you are.
Maybe one day. I mean, like I said, like right now, I'm just enjoying like blogging and doing the reviews and stuff. But the
universe is sending you, Blake. They're like. Like this roller coaster vibe. It's sending you the alone at home and with your cat vibe. Like, come on, these are all comic vibes you're getting.
Well, I mean, but that was the life I was planning on living, man. Like, I mean, I was in a creative writing MFA. Like, you know, I was gonna be this writer. I didn't get into comics till later. You know, I was gonna write the next great American novel, right? Or actually, I was really into short stories. Like, I was digging short stories and then crazy life shit happened. And then I didn't write for a while. And now like I was telling Bob in the green room, you know, my blog has me writing again, and I'm writing comic reviews, but I'm also writing for me at times. I love this industry. I love it to death. And this is what I'm passionate about. Like you know, I've had a lot of college schooling, and I know, like, you know, college doesn't necessarily mean you're a great creative, but I'm a literature nerd and I love learning about storytelling and storytelling mechanics. And I love this, like getting to talk to people that tell stories. And it's That's really, awesome. I mean, I know you guys probably don't want to hear this, but if no one listens to this, like, it's still really cool to me. I obviously want people to listen and back your guys' book and get excited for it like I am. But I mean, I just like being able to talk about writing and storytelling and comics with other people that don't just buy them. Like, like it's really easy to talk to other comic buyers and hobbyists, but it's different to talk about people, or to talk about it with people that are in the field, and doing these Kickstarters and learning what it's like, and learning that, like, you guys are like me, whereas, like, I post a fucking picture of a sandwich and I'm looking at my phone like, are people gonna like this picture of the sandwich that I posted, because I worked really hard on this sandwich? But you guys are like looking at your fucking Kickstarter campaign and you're like, are people gonna back this Kickstarter? So it's like, it's wildly different, but
it's
sort of similar.
But it is similar to making sandwiches, though, because you still want people at the end of the day to want to eat your sandwich and be like, that's a good ass sandwich. Look at that thing, looks delicious. That's what we're trying to do with this Kickstarter, man.
And also, like, we find when we go to cons, we're there to make friends. We're not there necessarily to sell books. It's nice if we sell books, and we're definitely happier at the end of the day, eating and being able to eat, selling books. But if we don't sell any books and we make connections and friends, and people come by the booth a number of times to say hello during that 3-day or 4-day stretch, whatever it is, that's even nicer, because that means they thought enough of you and what you're doing, or you as a creative, or you as even a person, to come back by and check on you and see if you're cool that day, or like talk to you. So, like, it's always fun for us to go to cons for those reasons. So I like talking to both people who make comics and people who just buy them and want to talk about their favorite comics, even if it's not something that we did, because sometimes someone will be like, I'll be like, they liked this, and this, so I'll suggest to them a book, or Bob will suggest to them a book that they haven't read, and you'll get a message over Twitter like, I got the thing that you suggested, and then they read it and they loved it. So
that's oddly gratifying, right? Like, when you refer something, they're like, oh, like,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite thing about cons. And then another thing that doing this does for you, you'll like meet people and you'll be like, oh, I really liked talking with that person. Like, in a Twitter exchange, I'll buy their book, so you buy their books. So, like, it's a lot of fun for that reason too. It's just a really cool hobby to have. The only problem that there is there's not enough time to read all the books. So you have to kind of, I've had to like cultivate it back some. My Kickstarter, like Blake, get in on the ground floor. I have the same problem. Kevin, it's a hardcover, and I'm like, oh shit, I kind of want it. It'll look nice on my bookshelf.
I appreciate you both. Thank you so much. This is going to be the first Blake's Buzz video. You got, speaking of ground floor, you're on my ground floor now.
Oh, that's awesome. And Blake, seriously, man, we can't thank you enough for letting us use your forum to promote our stuff. The Dust Pirates Kickstarter launches today, because this will be out on Thursday. It'll launch sometime today. Just go to Kickstarter.com, search the Dust Pirates. It'll be there. You can follow me on social media at BFrantz19, BFRANTZ19. I'm sure the link will be on my Twitter page as well. And it's going to be a fun book, man. We got a lot of great covers. We got a lot of great rewards. We're really excited about this book. It's action heavy. There's a lot of cool action sequences in it. There's some fun and snappy dialogue, and it's going to be a good time, man. So we want you to get in on this thing. So just go to Kickstarter.com and search the Dust Pirates. Kevin, where can we find you on social media, my man?
I'm at Kevin_Cuffe at Twitter, and I usually respond to all the tweets that I get. So if you tweet at me, I'll definitely respond to you.
He also will give you great lists every Friday of wonderful people to follow.
It's true. He does that too.
Make sure you can get out there and back this wonderful book, Dust Pirates, the 17th, right?
Yes, sir. That's what we're shooting for.
Just put your credit card number in there and get on that Kickstarter.
Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Best of luck to this. I know you're going to kill it. You've got a backer from me for sure.
That's one.
One, yeah.
That's one.